Actually, you're good and rolling.
Well, we've got a real diversity of farms all across the state of Iowa, and we're today in Marion County to visit Matt Russell here at Coyote Run Farm. And I like to think of Matt and what you and Pat are doing here as a real new generation farm in Iowa, both in terms of your age, but also the nature of the farm. You're involved in direct marketing and raising food crops. And so tell us a little bit more about what you're doing here in Coyote Run.
Well, it's 110 acres. It's a farm from the 30s. We got the house and the barn, and you can see the path where the dairy cows went back and forth from the pasture into the barn, you know, the big rut trail where that's still deep down in the soil. Our goal is to rehabilitate this farm into a profit center, a working, modern, conventional farm, modern farm of 110 acres that's profitable and successful and keeping the soil in place. And
now, how does the nature of your operation compare to the type of farm you grew up on in western Iowa, a commodity farm? Not a whole lot different than the one I grew up on, though a little bit bigger, I think. But
yeah, well, yeah, my parents have pieced together from different landlords over a long period of time, though, about 1,000 acres. You know, my parents were always real good and with wanting to do the right thing with the land, but it's really marketing is what's the big difference. And so, you know, they did everything in the conventional markets, and they had to sell a lot of volume to be able to come up with enough, you know, net income to support the farm.
So they were corn and soybeans, hogs and cattle, kind of a classic Iowa farm. Tell us about the crops that you're raising here at Coyote Run.
Yeah, well, we're doing pasture poultry, we're doing heritage breed turkeys, we're doing a full line of vegetables through the season. We kind of specialize in heirloom tomatoes. We've got some hay, and we've got beef. Beef are still at my parents', but we're bringing them here to do a grass-finished program. And we got horses and mules.
Yeah, I see you've got some mules. The mules are for sale, I gather.
Yeah, they are. Although Pat, who I farm with, he kind of questions sometimes whether they're actually for sale or not. We seem to be collecting them faster than we're selling them. But
well, so has it been a good experience? Are you optimistic after the first 4 years out here with your hands in the soil on Coyote Run?
It's been fantastic. I just couldn't be more excited. This is a tremendously artistic and creative adventure. It's tremendous problem solving, which is really empowering, and we're able to be successful. I mean, every year we're doing better and doing more, so that's really energizing.
Now, through your work in food policy, you spend a lot of time with college kids and young people who are involved in kind of helping change America, and you see that idealism among them. Do you see a lot of younger people interested in coming back to the land, being involved in our food system?
I do, and it's not just that they're excited about coming back to the farm, they're excited about supporting farms like this. So it's both. It's both wanting to come back and try this themselves, but also saying, well, I'm never going to be a farmer, but this is the kind of farm and this is the kind of food that I want to buy and be a part of. And we're seeing our customers develop a deep relationship with us, and we have a lot of people come out and visit. Of course, we hope that the quality of the food is really high. I mean, that's our goal.
So they really kind of have a sense of ownership in your operation and a real connection with you.
Absolutely, and you know, we provide food for somebody, and we're just delighted that they're paying for it and that they're happy to get it and all of this, and then they're thanking us. You know, we're thanking them, but they're thanking us even more that you're doing what you're doing and providing the food for us that you're providing.
Now, were you able to take advantage of any USDA programs in terms of loans or to help you acquire the land? Do we have in place programs to support young and beginning farmers like yourselves?
We explored that a little bit. But there really wasn't a lot there for us. When we bought the farm, we had a little bit of crop ground that we rented, and so the way we were trying to put this together didn't make sense to the loan program. So we weren't able to tap into any of those.
Is that a challenge, you think, in terms of whether or not those programs, or were they designed for more conventional farms and for new generation or new types of farms that we really need a kind of a new approach to how we support them?
Yeah, and I don't know, you know, in other states, but clearly here in Iowa, it was clear that they were looking for an intergenerational transfer of a conventional commodity farm, either grain or livestock or combination, but very much a traditional commodity farm, and almost you know, one generation to the other generation, mom and dad to the kid. Anything out of it didn't seem to fit if there's anything different than that.
And are you able to take advantage of some of the USDA or the NRCS programs to support what you're doing?
Yeah, we're in the second year of our 5-year EQIP contract to do rotational grazing. So that helped us put in ponds and some additional watering systems.
Now, EQIP is the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and
Yep.
that's a cost-sharing program that gives you, or the government provides support for money you want to invest in conservation?
Yeah. They pretty much kind of match what we want to do. We work with them and develop a plan, develop the structures and the grazing systems and those kinds of things, and they provide an incentive and a support to make that more possible for us to do.
Now, what's been your experience of working with the USDA staff or the local conservation officials in developing a plan for your farm?
Well, I'll just be honest. I mean, those folks are busy. So once we made the connection and got going, they've been absolutely great. But they're doing a lot.
Well, that's good to know,
yeah,
right?
but maybe they could use a little more support, in staffing, so that we could actually get all the things done that we need to get done. We got a backlog of things.
One of the challenges the USDA's faced is that Congress has cut the staff of the NRCS quite a bit, and so in terms of having conservationists able to work with landowners like yourself, it can be a challenge.
Right. But like I said, once we got going and once we got on their schedule, they've been just fantastic.
Now, how do you compare what you're doing on your farm, not necessarily in terms of your crops, but how you're caring for the farm, with the other farmers that you see in the neighborhood or the county, and you travel around Iowa a fair amount?
Well, I mean, we're putting in waterways, and
not taking them out.
Not taking them out. We didn't push the barn over. We put a new roof and new steel on it, and so we kind of invested in the barn for another 100 years. And other places are kind of pushing them over, and so it's kind of a mixed bag. But I would say our neighbors are very supportive and excited about what we're doing, and that's something that I didn't know what to anticipate. Whether people would, the conventional farms that are kind of surrounding us, whether they would look funny at us or whether they would be supportive. And they've been absolutely supportive and excited that we're able to do what we're doing.
Now, are there other farms like this in your neighborhood? Is there kind of a groundswell of the type of farming that you folks are up to?
Well, groundswell might be a bit much, but actually there's a number, and there's 6 of us that are within. If you drive a circle around and hit all of our farms, it's like 36-mile circle. But from the center out, it's like 4 or 5 miles to each farm. And we have a farm crawl.
Tell us about this. What's your farm crawl that you put on?
So first Sunday in October, and this will be our 3rd year of doing this, is that we advertise and let everybody know. It's kind of open house or field day for all 6 farms. And yeah, we've got a pumpkin patch and a corn maze and a CSA and a micro goat dairy, goat cheese farm. So, and we're all right here in kind of southwest Marion County and a little bit into Lucas County. And we're all, like I said, we're all betting the farm that we can be profitable and make a living doing this. It's not just hobby stuff, although we love it and enjoy it.
Sure.
These are real enterprises.
And so we're really kind of weaving this style of agriculture and these type of new generation farms into the existing agricultural system and bringing new people back into the countryside.
Absolutely.
So what would you describe as being your long-term plan for the farm and for the land?
Well, I mean, we'd like to retire here, so this is a long-term investment, and we'd like to see this farm, this 110-acre farm, generate at least one income. There's 2 of us here, so one of us works full-time on the farm, and we're building up towards maybe even both of us working more from the farm, so 1 or 1.5 incomes. So profitable, better soils, just kind of preserving this farm for another generation.
Well, certainly that idea of passing land down through families is an important part of Iowa's history. It's how
Right.
your family, my family were in agriculture. But it seems like what you're doing is we're kind of adding a new one to the ledger, right? Just putting a new farm out into the countryside.
Right.
And what more can we do to support those type of operations?
Well, I think the first thing is recognize that there's a real opportunity here. And so when you have the incentives and the programs that you're kind of thinking out of the box, and I've often said that we could do there could be 1,000 farms like ours across the state providing food directly to consumers, or through, basically local foods as opposed to through the global supply chain. And just think of if we had at the state level, if we said, well, we were going to invest how many dollars to create 1,000 jobs in rural Iowa, you could come up with a lot of money, but we don't really put much resource into targeting and developing farms like this.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned rural Iowa, because you sell at the Des Moines Farmers Market. People think of farmers markets as being kind of an urban type setting, but in many ways the farmers market is really a rural development program. That money that you make on Saturday comes back out here to Lacona and to rural Marion County. And
absolutely, we're buying our supplies. We're going to the hardware store and the farm supply store in Columbia. Columbia right here a few miles away. I mean, we're spending tens of thousands of dollars a year reinvesting in this farm, and for the most part, most of that is being spent within a 30-mile radius of our farm, which doesn't get you to Des Moines.
Do you think that's part of the story that we need to tell more, that there's kind of direct marketing and local food systems aren't just a food or agricultural story, but they're really part of a rural policy and really thinking about rural development in America and looking at it through the standpoint of food?
If we're not, that's a real big mistake, and I don't think we have been enough, and so there's a real opportunity here to move forward with some exciting, some things that could make a real difference in rural Iowa in these communities. It's not every farm going to do local foods, but the demand is so much bigger than what we have a supply for that there's an opportunity to develop. Like I said, I think if you did 10 farms per county, you get to 1,000 pretty quick.
Well, Matt, you're close to Des Moines here, and so you have that opportunity being close to the Des Moines market. Down in Adams County, it's in southern Iowa, and there's a lot of the state that's quite a bit more rural. Are there the opportunities there as well?
I think there are. CSA, where it's maybe easier for us to find 25. If we were going to do a CSA,
tell us about a CSA.
Community-supported agriculture, where someone kind of joins the farm in a membership, a subscription almost, or a membership. They pay up front, and then they get a series of products through the season. If it's a great season, they get more. If it's a challenging season, they maybe get a little bit less, but they share that risk with the farmer, and they kind of join the farm and build a real strong connection.
Are those growing across Iowa?
They are. And one of the farms right near us, the Sean and Jill moved back from Texas to farm here in Iowa and develop that particular kind of farm. And they've, a lot of their customers are in Des Moines, but they're finding more and more of their customers are right here in rural Marion County and Lucas County. And
so what I hear you saying is this is really a marketing challenge, and so people have to kind of bring the energy and the ideas and creativity to it, but if they do that, the opportunities are there.
Yeah, and out west in Cass County, you're seeing a community that's really developing, saying this is something we really like to see more of, and so then they're able to find those 25 customers, or 10 and then 15, and to build that farm up. And so Adams County would be the same kind of thing, where I think you could develop a CSA and connect with customers right there. You don't have to have the 500,000 people that you do in Des Moines. Now there's a limit, but I don't think we've even come close to even tapping where that's at.
So there's more room at the market, and there's more room in this food system for new farmers in Iowa and across America.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a challenge. But I think it's a challenge that's worth undertaking, and it can be really exciting.
Well, Matt, I'm glad that you and Pat are taking the challenge. I look forward to seeing a little bit more Coyote Run. So let's go walk around a little bit.
Super glad to have you here.
Okay.